Madame Oreille was a model of thrift. She knew the value of every sou and had long armed herself with a formidable arsenal of strict rules for accumulating capital. The household staff, needless to say, rarely had the chance to benefit from her purchases, and Monsieur Oreille received pocket money only with great difficulty. They lived comfortably, had no children, and yet even parting with a single coin was, for Madame Oreille, a genuine torment. It was like a stab to the heart, and whenever a serious expense loomed, however inevitable, she would toss and turn in bed all night. Oreille never tired of repeating to his wife, "Stop being so stingy. We have more than we spend." But she stood her ground. You never know what might happen. And a reserve never chafes the pocket. She was a woman of about 40, short, sprightly, neat, already wrinkled, and almost always in a bad mood. Her husband constantly lamented the privations she imposed on him. The worst were those that wounded his pride. Out of respect for her views, he remained at his post as a clerk in the Ministry of War, thereby increasing the family income, which, ironically, remained largely untouched. For 2 years straight, he had arrived at work with a patched and repatched umbrella, the object of endless mockery from his colleagues. Finally, driven to the edge, he demanded a new one. His wife bought an umbrella for 8.5 francs, a model heavily advertised by one of the department stores. At the sight of this cheap item, mass-produced and flooding the Paris market, the clerks resumed their ridicule, and Oreille could hardly bear it. The umbrella was worthless. Within 3 months, it fell apart and became the laughingstock of the entire ministry. They even composed a song about it, sung from morning till night in every corner of the vast building. Furious, Oreille ordered his wife to buy a new silk umbrella for 20 francs and to present the receipt. She spent 18 and, handing him the purchase, warned him, flushed with anger, "This one's for at least 5 years." At the office, Oreille was greeted with enthusiasm. That evening, upon returning home, his wife cautioned, "Don't fasten it with the elastic, it'll wear out the silk. And be careful, you won't be getting another one anytime soon." She took the umbrella, unfastened the clasp, smoothed out the folds, and froze. Right in the center was a tiny round hole, the unmistakable trace of a cigar burn. "What's this supposed to be?" she gasped. Her husband, without turning his head, calmly asked, "What is it? What are you talking about?" Barely containing her fury, she whispered, You burned your umbrella. Are you mad? Do you want to ruin us?" He turned pale and looked at her. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you burned the umbrella. Look for yourself." And, rushing toward him as if to strike, she shoved the scorched spot under his nose in a fit of rage. Stunned, Oreille stammered, This. What is this? I don't understand. I swear I didn't touch it more than once. I have no idea how it happened." Her voice rose to a shriek. "I bet you were fiddling with it at work, twisting it, opening it, showing it off." He protested, "I only opened it once, to show how beautiful it was. That's all, I swear." But she stamped her feet and launched into one of those domestic scenes that turn the hearth into something more terrifying than a battlefield. She patched the hole with a scrap from an old umbrella of a different color, and the next morning Oreille trudged off to the office with his mended accessory. He hid it in his cabinet and tried not to think about it all day. But that evening, as soon as he stepped through the door, his wife snatched the umbrella, opened it, and froze again. It was riddled with tiny holes, clearly burned. Someone had emptied hot pipe ash into it. The umbrella was ruined, hopelessly ruined. Madame Oreille, speechless with indignation, stared at the wreckage. Her husband, equally stunned, couldn't take his eyes off the damaged item. Then they looked at each other. Then Oreille lowered his gaze. Then the mutilated umbrella flew at his face. And in a burst of fury, his wife exploded, "You scoundrel! You did this on purpose. You'll pay for it. You'll go without an umbrella altogether." The scene flared up again. Her husband managed to speak only an hour later. He swore he didn't understand, that it must have been done out of malice or revenge. A knock at the door saved him. It was a friend, invited for dinner. Madame Oreille told him what had happened. A new umbrella was out of the question, her husband would get none. The friend objected, "But he'll ruin his clothes, and they cost more." Still fuming, the hostess snapped, "Let him take mine, the one I use for the market. He's not getting another silk one." Oreille rebelled, "Then I'd rather resign. I won't show up at the ministry with a kitchen umbrella." The friend suggested, "Have it recovered, it's not expensive." Madame Oreille threw up her hands. Recovering will cost at least 8 francs. 8 plus 18, that's 26. 26 francs for one umbrella. Madness. The friend, a modest man, suddenly had an idea. Why not claim it from your insurance? Fire damage is covered if the incident occurred at home. The suggestion immediately calmed Madame Oreille. After a moment's thought, she told her husband, tomorrow, before work, go to the maternal care office, let them inspect the umbrella and pay the compensation. Oreille flared up. Never. So what if 18 francs are gone? It's not the end of the world. The next morning, he left for the ministry with a cane. Luckily, the weather was fine. Left alone, Madame Oreille couldn't reconcile herself to the loss of 18 francs. The umbrella lay on the dining table, and she paced around it, hesitating. The thought of the insurance company wouldn't leave her, but she dreaded the mocking look she might receive. She was shy in public, blushed over trifles, and stumbled in conversations with strangers. Still, the loss gnawed at her like an insult. She tried in vain to forget it. The memory of that expense haunted her. What to do? Time passed, and she lingered. Then suddenly, as timid souls sometimes do, she made up her mind. I'll go. And then we'll see. But first, the umbrella had to be rendered completely unusable, so the claim would appear legitimate. Madame Oreille took a box of matches from the mantelpiece and burned a sizable hole between the ribs, large enough to fit a palm. The remaining scrap of silk she folded neatly, secured with an elastic band, threw on her shawl, donned her hat, and scurried off toward Rue de Rivoli, where the insurance office was located. The closer she got, the slower her steps became. What would she say? What would they reply? She kept a close eye on the house numbers. 28 more to go. All the better, time to gather her thoughts. Suddenly she flinched. There it was, a door with gold lettering, maternal care. Fire Insurance Society. Already? She hesitated, shuffled in place, walked past, returned, walked past again, and came back once more. Finally, she told herself, if I'm going anyway, better not to drag it out. But as she crossed the threshold, her heart began to pound. She found herself in a spacious hall lined with windows, each revealing the head of a clerk behind a partition. A gentleman appeared, carrying papers. Madame Oreille stopped and, timid as a schoolgirl, asked, "Excuse me, sir, could you tell me where they issue compensation for fire-damaged items?" He replied crisply, "Second floor, to the left. Claims department." The name unsettled her even more. She wanted to turn around and flee, abandon everything. But 18 francs? The thought of that sum gave her a bit of courage, and she began climbing the stairs, catching her breath with each step. On the second floor, she knocked on a door. A loud voice called out, "Come in." She entered a large office where 3 distinguished gentlemen stood conversing, each with a ribbon decoration in his lapel. One of them turned and asked, "How may I help you, madam?" Her words vanished. Stammering, she murmured, It's about an accident." The gentleman politely gestured toward a chair. "Please, have a seat. I'll be with you in a moment." He turned back to his colleagues and continued. "The company maintains that its obligations to you are limited to 400,000 francs. We cannot accept the additional claim for 100,000. Furthermore, the valuation." One of the others interrupted. "That's enough, sir. Let the courts decide. We must take our leave." They bowed formally and exited. Had she dared to leave with them, she would have run away, abandoned everything. But how could she? The gentleman returned, bowed, and asked, "How may I assist you, madam?" She managed to say, It's about this." The director looked with surprise at the item she handed him. With trembling hands, Madame Oreille tried to remove the elastic band. After several attempts, she succeeded, and the tattered frame of the umbrella sprang open. The gentleman sighed sympathetically. "It's certainly been through a lot." She hesitated, then admitted, "It cost me 20 francs. "Really? That much?" he said, astonished. "It was a fine umbrella. Please, see for yourself." I see. I'm just not sure how this concerns us." Madame Oreille grew anxious. What if the company didn't cover small items? She hurried to clarify. But it was burned." I can see that, the gentleman nodded. She sat, mouth agape, unsure what to say next. Then she remembered. My name is Oreille. My husband and I are insured with maternal care, so I came to request compensation. And fearing outright refusal, she quickly added, I'm only asking that you cover the cost of recovering it. The director was taken aback. But madam, we don't repair umbrellas. That's outside the scope of our services. The little woman felt a surge of confidence. A fight? So be it. Her timidity vanished. She countered. Then simply cover the cost of recovering it. I'll take it to the workshop myself. The gentleman grew even more flustered. But madam, this is a trifling matter. People don't come to us over such negligible losses. Surely you'll agree, we can't reimburse for handkerchiefs, gloves, mops, house slippers, and other small items that risk fire damage in everyday life. Madame Oreille flushed crimson. Listen, sir, when soot caught fire in our chimney last December, we suffered damages of at least 500 francs. Yet Monsieur Oreille didn't claim a single sou from your company. Now, in all fairness, you owe me for this umbrella. The director, realizing she was lying, allowed himself a smile. Don't you find it odd, madam, that Monsieur Oreille, who didn't seek compensation for a 500-franc loss, now demands 5 or 6 for an umbrella recovering? She didn't flinch. Forgive me, sir, but a 500-franc loss hit Monsieur Oreille's pocket. The loss of 18 francs strikes Madame Oreille's purse. And that, you must admit, is not the same thing. He saw there was no escaping her and decided to yield. In that case, please describe how the accident occurred. Sensing victory, she launched into her story with fervor. You see, sir, in my hallway stands a bronze stand for canes and umbrellas. The other day I came home and placed this one there. Above it is a little shelf for candles and matches. I reached up and took for matches. I struck one, it didn't light. The second fizzled out. The third, same result. The director interrupted with a dry chuckle. Government-issued matches, I presume. She didn't catch the joke and continued. Possibly. But the fourth one lit. I lit the candle, went to my room, and lay down. 15 minutes later, I smelled something burning. I'm terrified of fire. If it ever happens in our home, it won't be my fault. I'm obsessive about it, especially since that chimney incident I mentioned. So I got up, checked everything, sniffed every corner like a bloodhound, and saw my umbrella smoldering. A match must have fallen into it. You can see for yourself what's become of it. The director sighed. How much do you estimate the damage? She hesitated, reluctant to name a figure. Then, not wanting to seem petty, she offered again. Just have it recovered yourself. I trust your judgment. He declined. No, madam, that won't do. Please state the exact amount. Well, perhaps, No, sir, I don't wish to profit from this. Let's do it this way. I'll take the umbrella to the workshop, ask for a strong, durable silk cover, and bring you the bill. Will that be acceptable? Perfectly, madam. Excellent. Here's a note for the cashier, they'll reimburse your expenses. He handed her the slip, and Madame Oreille, wasting no time, snatched it up, sprang to her feet, and hurried out, showering him with thanks and eager to leave before he changed his mind. Now she strode cheerfully down the street, scanning for a suitably upscale umbrella shop. At last, her eyes settled on a respectable-looking establishment. She entered and, with unwavering confidence, declared, "Please recover this umbrella with good silk, very good silk. The finest you have. I'm not concerned about the price."